Sorry for a slightly late start because I was just getting a few extra things ready because I changed what I was going to do on the show tonight. And yeah, I'm just checking that everything is streaming and all is well. Okay, I'll just get onto my chat room. Bear with me, everyone, please. Just getting myself started, and I'm going to get cracking. Live stream coming to you from Bristol in the UK, and very happy to be here. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you if you're regulars too. Yeah, just waffling as I'm getting things set up. Okay, just I can see chat room now. That's all good. Right. Okay. Oh, one more thing. Yes. Bit more light. Bit more light. Okay. Although it's reflecting on the screen there. Sorry. A bit haphazard tonight. Hello. Okay. Yeah. All things are well. Okay. So for those of you who were watching Sonic State's Sonic Talk podcast earlier, we discussed the upcoming Boss RC-505 MkII. Now, I don't have one. In fact, I don't think anyone has them yet. They've just been announced. I've got a Mark I here, and I love it very much. We talked about it on the show, on the Sonic show tonight, and I thought about it afterwards. I thought, do you know what? I'd like to expound a little bit on this. So what we're going to do is I can flick over here, and we can have a little look at the new one and talk about it a little bit, referencing it to this one here. Okay, the Mark I. So that's the plan. Got a very simple setup. I've got a Arturia Micro Freak plugged into the instrument line in. Let's just make that stop making noises. But I've also got MIDI coming out of this and into the Micro Freak, and I'll talk a little bit about that because I think the MIDI implementation of this is actually really good. So we're using this as the clock, as I do in my setup. I have like a jamming setup at the other end of my studio, and the 505 is central to that. Okay, so anyway, so let's go back to here, and we're talking about the Mark II. So you can see that it looks pretty similar. In fact, it looks really similar, but it has got a few new buttons on there. And let's just see if I can get the gallery on here. Have we got a gallery? Don't know. Yeah. My computer screen is a tiny little camera monitor, so I can't actually read the text on there. But we're going to look at this, and we're going to have a little play around with the Mark I. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why I'm quite excited about this, because I think the Mark II, it's so similar to the Mark I, and I think that's brilliant because the Mark I is fantastic. Note, I'm saying Mark I, not MK1. I know that gets Nick Bat's goat when people call it the MK2. Okay, very similar. I wonder if I can get both up. Can I get both up? More or less, yeah. All right, that's kind of cool. So we've got an extra button on here, which is actually quite a big deal, because these buttons are very much multifunction. What else? I need to find a bigger picture of it, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, I've hobbled the show together quite quickly. Right, so here, A, B, C, and D, whereas on the Mark I is A, B, and C. And the same applies on the out. So you've got input effect and output effect. So the output effect, has got 3. There's 4 on the new one. So, you know, so on the surface, it's very similar, but it's now there is a pretty major new thing is you've got knobs underneath the screen. On the Mark 1, you've just got the single knob there. So for editing things, that looks a big improvement. But you know, the format is so similar. 2 XLR inputs as opposed to the 1, and but you know, as I say, thankfully they've kept a lot of the good stuff the same. And I was worried that they might change, you know, some of the things that makes it a really good thing. Actually, we can see in that shot there that the screen is quite a bit bigger. It looks like you've got a few lines. You've got quite a bit more you can display on the screen than this kind of 2 lines there. How much storage? Hello, everyone. Oh, look at the chat room. Sorry, just checking in with the chat room. Wagyu saying, how much storage has it got if no 32GB sound card is possible? Okay. Let's get straight into the controversy then. So, I talked about this earlier. I've mentioned it numerous times, but when I got this, actually, this is the second one. Roland sent me one before it was out, way back when. And I liked it, but there was a few kind of showstoppers. They brought out a version 2 OS, and that for me made it an absolute must-have. And I'd bought one a little bit later. I'd had one sent over first to try out for a little bit, fed back a little bit about it, and then realised afterwards that there was nothing else quite like it. And I think that's still true to this day. But the version 2, that one of the really great things version 2 did was it made the MIDI, it just really made the MIDI much more useful in a bunch of different ways. You can now map it to like a MIDI foot controller, so you could really get into using all the assigns with a MIDI foot control, which you'd assumed would have been there from the start. And I believe that they were probably trying to not make it go into the foot looper market, because that's another of their markets, that they didn't want it to compete with some of their other products. I think that was the reason they did it, which ultimately is a bit silly, because they were saying it's a beatbox looper, it's a desktop looper, you've got your hands are free, but really myself as a guitarist, bassist, as my primary instrument, I want to get as much control to the feet. So thankfully the version 2 it brought that in. Now I'm assuming that because just a quick thing I should mention, tonight's show is very speculative. The manual isn't out for this, so we are just kind of pondering about some of the features that it's got. So I was saying on Sonic State earlier, yes, that this is a bit of a fart around tonight, so I am going to be wasting your time as much as wasting my own time as well. So we're wasting time together. So I just need to kind of clear that up, that there's not much to be gleaned from this show other than speculation, and I'm going to sort of have a little bit of a jam as well with this thing, and hopefully when I do that, I'll just go through some of my favourite features. Incidentally, my mic sound is maybe sounding a bit different because I'm actually, the microphone is going into the 505, so I can actually,
I can apply effect and just different things like that.
So normally my mic would be going elsewhere. So if the sound is slightly different, I mean, I don't expect these preamps to be much cop, but they're all right. Maybe in the new one, I'm assuming that they'll have better preamps because there's 2 mic inputs on the new one. And yes, it does provide phantom power, which is a menu feature, which is a little bit annoying. Obviously, phantom power can be damaging to your mics if you don't use it properly. So it is a case of hopping into the system menu. I should tilt this up a little bit. System menu. And it's the second setting So one of the things about using one of these is like learning how to get shortcuts to certain things, like phantom power. Obviously, if you're using this live, and phantom power, switching that on and doing it at the right time is super crucial. So, learning where it is, system and one, and you'll get there. But when you go into the menus, so there's quite a lot in the menus. You're kind of pushing a arrow, and if you push the opposite arrow, you can jump in sections. You can skip sections, it jumps to relative sections. Now, why am I mentioning all this? Well, in the version 2, I am assuming with those extra controls underneath the screen, a bigger screen as well, and I think the navigation is going to be increased. So I think that'll be a big improvement. However, this thing is designed for jamming. It is designed for operating in maybe low light areas, clubs, nightclubs, and the like. And I think as well, it has to be durable, and it is. It's got like a build quality. It's plastic. And I reckon a new one looks similar in the design, but it's really super solid plastic. And for me, this has been like a bulletproof piece of kit. It's never failed on me at all in any way. So I expect the new one to be pretty good in that respect. One of the new features though is longer faders, and if we can have a look here, the fader travel it looks like it's quite a bit longer actually. There's that extra button that it's got, so I think the extra button is allowing a little bit more travel. Don't know if this is a really boring show, but I'm really excited about this upcoming thing because I love this thing. I love it. It's my favorite thing. I think music tech piece, maybe one of my most favorite pieces of music tech gear that I've ever owned. And the reason for that, well, there's multiple reasons, and we'll go into some of them. But largely is about it. I'm very productive when I use this. I just find it very easy to get places, musical places, to get started, and to have a lot of fun. However, the recordings that I've made on it, they're okay. They sound pretty decent, but they don't sound like you'd get if you were to record it maybe through a more up-to-date audio interface. And I think that the new one is going to sound significantly better in that respect. I should have prepared it actually. I've got the RC-500, the most recent two looper made by Boss, and it's got this 32K. Well, I say 32K. Sorry, 32-bit sound engine. I think it's still working at 44.1K. I'm not sure. Might be wrong. Maybe chat room can help me that. But I just think that the sound quality of the new one is a notable kind of uptick from this one. So if you are an avid 505 user like myself, that audio quality increase is definitely something that, nice. So you get all of the joy and the satisfaction of this particular workflow, but with that added thing of a better sound quality. Now, I was mentioning about the controversy, wasn't I? The controversy. So, yes. So when I bought this, I went off topic. When I bought this, it has, I think, 2 gigabytes of memory. They don't talk about it having 2 gigabytes of memory. They talk about how many hours worth of recording there is, and that wasn't a great deal. And then someone told me you can open it up, and inside, sure enough, there was a micro SD card slot, and they just get in a standard micro SD card. 32 gig worked perfectly, and it's worked flawlessly. I just switched it out. And then I think, did I have to do any? No, I think it auto kind of formats the card. I can't remember. I might be wrong about that. But anyway, switching the card out was a really easy thing to do, and then subsequently I've had 32 gig of storage on this, which has typically been fine because there's 100 memories, and so 32 gig kind of you can store quite a lot. It has got USB, and you can transfer across via USB, so you don't have to take the if you fill the memory up, you can just dump it across. But who wants to do that? We want loads of onboard memory. So I think one of the big failures, one of the disappointments, shall we say then, there is no SD card slot on this. And when you look at the amount of recording time that's available, it isn't a lot. Is it about 13 hours? So that's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame they haven't rectified that, because I think that is let me get to the specs page. Let's have a look. Specs. Okay. So 99 memories. Recording. Here we go. So you can record 1.5 hours in a single kind of recording, and approximately 13 hours of the total. So that's really, really annoyingly small compared to what it could be, because I'm going to presume that there's still recording to some sort of rewritable media like a SD card inside. However, yes, I mentioned about that, swapping the cards, but subsequent RC-505s that came out had like a gluey, like a load of glue on the card, so you to try and stop you swapping it, which just seemed like ludicrous. Somebody did write to me. They made a video about how to get rid of the glue, so that is not. I should probably put it in the show notes. That is knocking around on YouTube. So if you do have a Mark 1 and the card is glued in, all is not lost. There is a way that you can open it up and scrape that glue off. Obviously, that will void any remaining warranty, but definitely worth doing if doing long jams, which is what I like doing, is your thing. Hey, Rich Hilton, ludicrous, he says. It is. It's a crazy thing. So 13 hours isn't enough time. I think that's a shame, because it means that, I mean, it does seem like a lot, but when you split that across 5 tracks, I think the way that I love to use this perhaps wasn't exactly what they had in mind, but I think has subsequently been something very popular, which is a way of just doing long form jams and then just being able to then jam with your jams. It's something that I'm like really, really into doing. So KWH Coaster is saying they have 2 RC-505s, so no rush to upgrade. Yeah, 2, that would be fun. I have managed to kind of connect this to my other looper and get them working almost like a 7-track looper, but yeah. So another of the missed things then. So I'm talking about the positives about the new one, but there are definitely some grumbles that I've got. One grumble that I've got is that there doesn't appear, unless there is in software, a way to do internal, like a bounce down, to get like, even if you like bounced 4 down to 5 or something, there isn't a way to do it other than patching out and patching back in, which I've done loads of times, and it's kind of cool in a sort of degrading it sort of audio if it's if that's if that's all right, if you're not really that worried about the audio. I mean, it would be so nice if there was a way to have to route internal tracks to other loops. That would be amazing. That would actually be really, really cool. So maybe it will. I'm speculating here. I suspect that it won't, because I think if it did, they would put that as one of the kind of fancy, one of its kind of new features. So the absence of that, slightly sad, but again, lots to be interested in. Yeah, the effects. So the effects, we can actually have a little listen to the effects on here. I'm expecting, in fact, that the effects are going to be notably improved. I think the DSP of the 505 Mark II is likely to be significantly better than the Mark I. Again, all speculative. But the effects are surprisingly useful. I didn't think I was going to use them that much. I ended up using them a lot. So there's a little technique I was talking about, one of the effects on Sonic earlier, which is just calling up the pan. I need to find something to wedge this up. Uh-oh. Let's try to just adjust things a little bit. Okay, don't know if you can see that this well, but...
Oh yeah, the version 2. Whoops.
The version 2 let you stack effects on top of each other, and that was cool. In version 1, it could be one, like I've got on the outputs here. But as from the version 2, you're able to optionally choose whether you want them to be independent ones or be able to stack them. Di Stanton calculating 8 gig of memory in the new one. Right. Is that at 44K 32-bit? See, that seems mean. Doesn't that seem mean? Yeah, we could have had... That was somewhere that this could have improved. However, there is lots of improvements, so, you know. I don't know, but that is a really annoying one. I'm assuming... let's just go back to the specs. I'm assuming that the USB is going to be, well, probably not USB 3. Can't tell. 32-bit floating point processing. So that's nice for headroom. That's going to be like a lot of internal headroom. So imagine the effects potentially could sound a lot cleaner. Okay, can't. It doesn't say. But also, what I would be interested to know is, does it work as a class compliant audio interface, or will you need to install drivers like for the yes, because this Mark I will work as an audio interface, and it's reasonable. It's okay. It's pretty good, but it's not amazing. USB for data backup, phrase import export with Boss Tone Studio, and pattern import and export. Maybe this one isn't an audio interface. It doesn't appear to be any mention of it there, and that would be ooh, okay, interesting. Not a massive deal breaker, but interesting. A potential downgrade from the Mark I in that respect, if the audio interface side of it is important. Right, rhythms. Yeah, so this one has got a kind of like metronome, but it's also got built-in rhythm patterns. And let's in record. You know, you can change the pattern. You can change the time signature. Maybe not when it's playing. 5/4. So that's quite nice. The fact that you can do different time signatures. Put a record count in, and not a lot else. So you can't change, for instance, the sound of the drums. On the new one, you can. And I think it's going to be similar to my Billie Jean in 5. I think it will be similar to the to the RC-500. It's got 200 patterns on the new one. and you can change the kits, and they do sound all right. They sound a lot better. They sound a lot better. So again, that's it's one of those features. The rhythms, they're kind of useful for getting going and for having something to play to. In fact, let's do something. I think maybe it's time for some music. Okay. Maybe, all right, we're in 5/4. Let's stay in 5/4 then. Oh yeah, so this technique. Let's get some notes in first. I'll put some notes in, then I'll play with this technique. Oh, sorry, that's really boring. Let me just find the sound first. Oh, I've got some dodgy MIDI going on. What is going on? Oh, it's horrible, these sounds of drums, aren't they? Okay. All right, we're in business now. Okay, let's play with some of these effects then, these input effects. So like... Yeah, this is one of the things. In order to get to the settings, say for the effect, then I've got my voice going through it, so it'll get... I'll do it with this pan. So when you put your voice in, when you turn the effect on, then the menu will change to reflect the set, what you've just chosen. So pan, and I'm going to go here to manual on pan. This is the technique I was talking about earlier. This is kind of really cool because it always records stereo. You can't record in mono, so you can't set channels up to be mono. Well, at least you can't on this, and I expect that the new one is going to be the same. That it's essentially 5 stereo loops. But if you're recording with a monophonic instrument, like say my voice, then when you go through these input effects, it will record with these effects on. So I can pan around, I can adjust the pan, and I think I've got it in the wrong way around. Let's just... oh, can I be bothered changing? No. My right is your left. Yeah. So it means that your input voice now, you can just choose where in the stereo that it is. And I think that it's a very simple thing, that. But if we were to just do a really short loop... stop that. See? In panning effects as well. So I think that's a really simple, cool little effect. And it's just simple pan. Okay, but so the sound of these effects, and typically the amount of programmability that you've got on these effects is quite minimal. So let's find a different...
Okay, this lo-fi. So the knob typically
is preset
from an effect to what it does. And if I look at what I can do, so I've got a bit depth control, one bit.
Whoa, this is like a mix. This is a mix control. So this is defaulting to being a mix control.
One bit. Sample rate.
Okay. All right, so we're going to be sample rate of 1/2. So what is that? So sample rate, yeah. and 1 bit, and it sounds like this. Whoa.
Anything? Can you hear how much of this makes sense?
Yeah. I suppose the point I'm making here is that the effects that you've got like maybe, yeah, in this case, like 3 parameters of that effect. If I was to maybe put a posher effect in, let's put like a reverb in on the end here. Reverb, then we've got reverb time, effects level, direct level. So that's the only things, you know, that it's very, very few parameters. A few others have got a couple more parameters that you can choose, but by and large, that's the thing with this. There's a granular delay here. Now that sounds kind of interesting. We've got delay time, feedback, effects level, and that's it. So you get the gist. I think that these new ones are going to have a little bit more depth to them because a little bit more adjustable parameters there. Let's go to this, because I think having these extra 4 controls and the bigger screen, I just have a feeling that they'll take advantage of that. Can I zoom this screen? Yeah. So the effects, 49 input effects, and 53 track effects. So yeah, so 49 to choose on the way in and 53 to choose on the way out. I think that extra ones, the extra 4, are probably the one specific to do with chopping up a loop. In fact, let's have a little play with that now. So this little loop here, I'll keep that bit depth on off. So one of my favorites, beat shift. It just jumps where it is. It's got beat shift, and beat scatter is quite cool. Turn it off. So I'm just going to change the settings now. I'm going to make this so you can stack the effects. Now with this one, depending if you are having them stackable or as switchable, some effects you can only have one instance of it. I guess it's a DSP kind of limitation. So again, the new one is going to get like a lot more effect power, which it will certainly be nice. But anyway, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go into the memory setting. I'm going to flick through some pages here. Input effects, multi, sync, and then master effects. I'm going to also set to multi. So now you can latch 4 effects on top of each other. So let's get this thing playing. Beat, repeat. Ah, that's right. So I think you can only have one time. Yeah. So if I was to look on my any other level, I can only have. Yeah, I can't have any more of these time kind of ones. Beat, repeat, beat. So let's have a look at what them. It's a beat, repeat, beat shift, and beat scatter, and a vinyl flick. Vinyl flick. This is like played it back. You can sort of scratch it. Edna's Disco Machine mentioned in the 404, of course. So that's been the big announcement in Roland and the Roland camp, the 404 Mark II, which has been announced a couple of weeks ago, and looks really great, and is a, you know, it looks like they've done a similar thing actually to what they've done with the 505 Mark II. They've really kept what everybody really wants with more or less, and just expanded on it, but not really changed it too much. And I think that's a good move, because that's had an extraordinary lifespan for a music tech product, the 404 Mark I. So I think that this one, the 505 and the 505 Mark II, I think, you know, there's a similar thing, you know, more of the good stuff, really. Yeah, what else is new with the new one? Let's have a little look. Let's go back over here. Customizable effects and track buttons for each phrase track. Okay, so that's something new, the customizable ones. I'm not quite sure what that means. New ultra durable faders with longer throw and more precise adjustment. Okay, so I mean, the faders on this, they are yeah, they're a bit loose and slightly wobbly, but you know, most of the time, you know, it's a question of, they're almost like, you know, like mutes really, by just pulling them down. So the great Marc Rebillet, who is apparently in hospital, got knocked off his bike. So best wishes to him. He's fantastic, but he's possibly the most proficient 505 user out there. He's an incredible performer. And he uses these, you know, very much like faders like this kind of thing, you know, just so really you don't want too much resistance with them. But these new faders, they definitely look like they've got a little bit more, well, they say they're longer, and they do. Yeah, they're definitely a couple of centimeters by looks of things. So yeah, that is pretty cool. Now, these lights, these big switches, I'm so glad they've kept them. But one thing that is not set up by default, although it looks like it is on here, is the fact that you can use the outer rings to show the progress of where you are in the loop. So if I cut to mine now, you know, when these are playing, you can see the progress. So if, let's just load up, do I want to save that? Can I be bothered saving that? Yeah, all right then. So I'm going to save this particular, just this thing really, not that it's that great, but I'm going to come back to it. Okay, so if I was to go through some of these longer jams, push play. I don't know what on earth what these are, but you can see the progress of them, and it's really, really nice. Oh yes, I just seen in the chat room mention of Mark lost his daughter in the most tragic way. Mark Tinley, Sonic State viewers will be sad. So big love to Mark. I know it's really, really tough. Yeah. So so Mark Tinley is one of the original Sonic State podcast. He's not on the show so much these days because he runs his shop in Glastonbury, but he's an incredible personality. He's funny and absolutely potty as well. So big love, Mark. Big love. We think the world of you. Mark, God, he has had some. So he's had us in stitches. Wonderful, wonderful man. And Rich Hilton mentioning he spent many, many years working for Duran Duran. Yeah, he was working for, I guess, Nick Rhodes. He was doing a lot of the synth programming. He would go out on tour with them. I think he was with them for a long time. Yeah, and of course, Rich, the great Rich Hilton. Thank you, Rich, for your contributions. Rich is saying that it was Mark who brought Richard Hilton into the Sonic State fold. There we go. Well, that's another thing we got to thank you for, Rich. A big love coming back to you, Rich, and to everybody. Thank you so much again for tuning in. It's a bit of I just kind of threw this thing together a little bit, so I just don't know if it's particularly interesting. But I'm, as I say, I think it's kind of relevant from music tech point of view. Nick was saying how important these 505s are, well, loopers in general, but also the 505 as a kind of product category, I suppose. So, like a loop station, but this sort of desktop loop station, and the fact that it's very accommodating to stereo, which is a big bugbear of mine, that the stereo is, lots of things are still, mono or have monophonic kind of limitations. Currently, what the SP2400 over here, the Eiler, which there is content coming soon, folks, with that one. That has a looper that is kind of roughly modelled on the 505 built in. You can switch it into a looper mode, and that's really great. But currently, you can only use that in mono, and for me, that drives me wild. I do love it though. That is a very, very cool piece of kit. More on that another time. But anyway, what are we doing? Yeah, I'm going to go back to my little thing that I made earlier. So this is in 5, isn't it? Okay, let's try and do something over it then. I don't know why I'm only getting some notes coming through. Okay, so I guess the point we're going to make here is, I think this is a... I don't know why this isn't quite working right, but I'll figure it out. Yeah, okay, so the way that these loops can sync, I think, is one of the really super duper features of the 505. And what that means is you can predetermine what you want the loop length of one of them to be, and they're kind of independent. Each one has its own edit button, and when you go into the edit, then you've got specific features for that particular looper, and you can make them behave very differently from each other. Okay. Like, for instance, reverse. Actually, if we go into here, we can reverse our loop. We've got a playback level, which is actually really handy. That'll go up to 200, and then that'll mean that your fader, if I was to set this to maybe, say, 30, then it'll only play at 30 when you play it back. So I'll set it back to 100 for now. But that's a pretty cool little feature. It's pan, so you can predetermine where the pan is. So if you were, you could set them up like, so channel 5 is pan to the right, channel 4 pan to the left, or anywhere that you want. And one shot, whether they're one shots, self-explanatory really. Now, whether the track effect is on or off, and that is a super, super cool little feature. Let me just find something that I've got lots of other that I've done on here with lots of tracks on here. What's this? God, coming back to them. Whoa, take that off. Oh, so many of them are kind of. Okay, sorry, bear with me. So I've got some okay. So I could choose now. All of these loops are running at the same sort of 4-bar kind of loop. But I could choose a loop. Let's just bring that out for now. I could choose, say, on loop track 4. I could set what I want it to be in terms of measure is set to auto. When it's set to auto, if I start recording, then it will last for as long as the kind of master loop, the first loop. So that will automatically loop for 4 bars. If then you turn it to free, then when you start it, it'll start, it'll quantize it to the nearest bar beginning and bar end. So so that will be so that's super useful in free. And that really, this is where this thing comes into its own, because you can chuck it into free and you can do, literally jam for, well, I think the new one, an hour and a half. So you can do really long form jams. Oh, that's what I was going to look for, wasn't it? Long form jams. Let's get away from that one. No. Let's have a look. And then it'll tell you when you've done your jam, if you've done it in free, it'll tell you then. No, these aren't particularly long. Let's find another long one. So it's just funny. I wonder if I want. Oh yeah, look at this one here. That's 75. That's 75 bars long. That one is 16 bars and 128 bars long. Yes, that's what I wanted to find. So I didn't set that out to be 128 bars long. It's just that's how long that jam happened to be. Nervous to see what it is. So these jams can go on for a very, very long time. But as of version 2, one of the cool things is that you can do this thing where you can say I went and set this to be, your shortest loop can be a semi-quaver. I'll do one of those jams in a moment and set them all up to be semi-quavers. But you can set it to be any length you want, all the way up to, I think, 999. Yeah, 1,000. Yeah, 1,000. So you can predefine it. So if I set it to, say, 778, if you hold down stop, so long as the track is empty and nothing's recorded, you can see that this is completely, these lit up show that there's content, these not lit up show that they're both empty. If I hold down stop and hit the play button, now it's showing it's full. I've created an empty vessel, if you will, 778 bars long. So, oh, thank you very much, David. Tip. Hey. So that one's 778 bars. And everything will stay relative. Oh, Wagyu, thank you. It's very kind. I get a bit. I blush a little bit when tips come in. So the loop sync is super cool because it means that you can do like really long form jams, but it all stays in sync. But here's another cool thing. Now, this is something I'm really interested in with a new one. Okay, so if I play something. Okay, I'm going to find something with a beat on there, but let's just let this little ambient tune thing play a little bit. If I hit the tempo button, the loops will automatically time stretch. And as you can hear, it does get quite garbled, grainy sort of, although that's got a quality of its own if we put it through some effects. Let's crank the feedback up. Yeah, so using that kind of garbled sound. So I'm wondering if the time stretch engine will sound better. I'm assuming it probably will. Of course, we can go the other way. Let's see how fast. 250 beats. Turn the delay off. So having them instantly change is it's very cool. Yeah, so, I'm kind of going through some of the things that I really like about this and why the new one is such a big deal. Will that time stretch, will it have a better sound quality? Things like that I'm really interested in. I'm assuming that it will, because extra DSP will be good for that sort of thing. And yeah, so okay, let's just jump back to that thing that I was doing earlier. Is this it? Yeah. So it's quite nice when you make loop lengths, you predefine loop lengths. So I'll do a bunch of those now with really short loop lengths. Okay, so let's just set them to be right. So I'm going to set the measures of these to be yeah, why not? I'm going to do them all to be semi-quavers. This will be a very annoying piece of music very fast, but I'm going to set up some track effects. So let me make my track effects. I'm going to set my track effects to be multi. Let's set them up. A delay, that will be good. So I can stack these on top of each other. Let's see. Vinyl flick. Beat repeat. No, that'll be too small. Pan. Let's have some auto pan action. Yep. And then in B we'll have yeah, panning delay. No, I love the granular delay. Let's find that granular delay. Oh, I've not allowed it in that slot. Granular delay in C, and in B I'll have panning delay. Okay. All right, let's go back to these then. So these tracks are set up to pre-record very, very, very short loops. In fact, I'll set up that one to be 3 will be in reverse. Let's just get these. Yeah, okay, really short loops. Right, let's get it going. Oh, I know what I need. So now, if I can make any track have the effect on or off. Oh, that was nice. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, recorded really short loops. So I'm controlling the ring modulator here. Let's see what the settings are. Frequency. Oh, where am I ring modding it from? I guess it must be like an internal oscillator. So at the moment, tracks can either have effects on or off, and they can only have like so if I've got you've only got one set of output effects, so the tracks have just kind of either got them on or off. I think then on here then it is saying that input effects and track effects, each with 4 simultaneous effects and 4 quick access banks. Okay, so that's new, the quick access banks, but customizable effects and track buttons. Yeah, so not entirely sure. I think it probably architecturally will still be the same then, where the effect you can't have different track effects on by different tracks, or maybe you can, and that would certainly be cool. Yeah. So just checking on something. I'm not going to go on too much longer because I don't want to bore the pants off you all with my own kind of just own excitement about a thing coming out. But yeah, so I think I saw somewhere in the comments that someone didn't like the look of it, but I'd be curious to see what other people think about the look of it. I think it's functional. I don't think it's particularly pretty, but I think it's kind of cool. I think it's designed. I do think it is designed with kind of, stage performance in mind, and it's certainly nice and clear. You can see what you're doing. This is one of the best things about the 505 is the visual feedback is strong and works really, really well. So they've definitely kept to that, which is cool. Now, what I don't know about is, so the new inputs and outputs. Then we've got stereo, 2 sets of stereo inputs, and we've got 2 mic inputs. We've lost our auxiliary input. Now the auxiliary input, it's just on a mini jack, is actually, well, I found that to be quite useful, just to have another line input. But that doesn't go through the effects. I don't think so. Yeah, I might be wrong about that. Oh, view in the gallery. There is a gallery. Let's have a look. Let's see what's going on in this gallery. Let's get rid of me. Okay. So he's using it with a laptop there. So that could suggest that it does work as an audio interface. I might have missed that detail, but I didn't notice it in the specifications. Okay. I'm just having different colors. Okay. So on this one, they are just either red or off, but you can see that one has got a different color to it. So that's kind of interesting. The rhythm button, start and stop, is still there, but in a different place. It's got a dedicated edit button. Oh no, yeah, this one has 2. What am I talking about? But this is a new edit button. So the effects have gained an edit button, a dedicated edit button. That's cool. I was trying to explain earlier, but failed a bit really, just to sort of say that when you choose to make the effect editable, you have to turn it on and quickly turn it on and turn it off just to make it select. There's no way to essentially silently select an effect and get the editing up on it. You have to enable it. So it's not a massive thing, but having its own dedicated button makes sense. Just having a look what else we can see on it that's new. So they've changed the circular buttons. They've made them a bit smaller. These buttons along here, they were circular. On here, these ones here, these four. And you can see they've had to move out the way to accommodate the new controls here, but they are still lit up. And you've got the let's just see, undo redo. Yeah, now that's a new feature. I think the undo redo has more sophistication. Let's have a look at that in a moment. That's a really crucial button. All start and stop, and we've got that one on this one. And a long press on it will wipe everything and give you a fresh palette. You can disable that function. So if if that's a bit too risky, you can disable. Well, you certainly can on the Mark 1. Tap tempo button, crucially important, and then the start stop for the rhythm. So that's exactly the same actually. What have we got here? We've got a menu button. A menu button, and then a button for loop. So that's new. That as a okay, exit, enter, and just utility stuff there. And then our output level control. That's slightly different as well. Aha! And therein is something quite major that is possibly negative. Look what's missing in this area here. Our mix controls. Holy moly! Oh dear. Uh-oh. These are really, really useful to have as actual dedicated controls. So, if I want to turn my mic off, it's instant. Some horrible feedback, microphone up. I'm not having to navigate any menu for that function. And I've always quite liked the fact you've got a separate input control for the microphone and a separate one for your line input, and then there's the output level. So what they've done, it looks like here, it looks like you've got a single control for an output level, and that looks like the edit for the input effects. Look at that. They've done away with real-time mix controls. Whoa. Okay. So I guess there's a little bit of give. I thought, yeah, now that I think is quite a major one. Wow. Okay. So that may actually put some people off. But I'm sure there's a shortcut that you can jump to the setting pretty quick. Oh, Inky's telling me to jam. Jam. I tell you what then, if anyone wants me to jam, anyone else other than Inky wants me to jam, not that Inky's kind of unworthy to jam for. Of course I'll jam for you, Inky, anytime. Carrier Monkey suggesting channel select and the big knob. Yeah, so... Well, actually, not these big knobs. You wouldn't, because those are dedicated to the effect, but it's going to be these soft knobs underneath here, isn't it? You're going to have like an input, and then, because there's 4 inputs, of course. There's 4 inputs, 2 mic inputs and 2. So, I can't see a dedicated button, though, to put it into that mode. Again, you want to be able to get there super, super, super fast. Really fast in the heat of the moment. So, yeah. Jam. All right. Enough waffle. Okay, then. So, all right. I'm going to conclude then. I'll conclude and then I'll have a jam and finish. So, yeah. So we got improved. It seems like mostly improvements. Steve Asselman is saying control X MIDI. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to control the input settings with MIDI or with any, you know, with foot controllers. So yeah, but oof, that seems, I guess it might be okay. In reality, it may be super fast and you can, and you're there and you're adjusting it and it is super fast, but that will remain to be seen. But I guess what you're gaining though with those 4 soft controllers though is probably much better and more detailed effect editing. And okay, so yeah, so in summary then, I mean, this is all speculative. I'm not sure when these things are going to be shipping. Do we actually know that? Does it say on the website? Who knows? I don't know if I can be bothered going through that. I'm just going to finish this. Let me just have a little look on the end of here though, just in case there's something that we've missed. Oh yeah, this is the view to look at. Oops. Oh, there is new outputs. Yeah, that's something I forgot to mention. So you've only got one set of outputs on the Mark 1 and headphones, but this has got the main output and then a sub 1 and a sub 2 output. Now, if we look at this image of the back of it, if I can find one. Yay. Let's have a look. Lots. So those sub outputs are stereo. Yeah, great. So you've got 6 stereo. You've got 3 stereo outputs, 2 sets of line inputs, and 2 mic inputs. Now, see, if this was an audio interface as well, and all of those were independent channels, it would make it an awesome audio interface with loads of connectivity. Maybe that's why it isn't, or maybe it is. Let me just verify that, because I couldn't see. I think that's a major, that would be a major down mark. Markdown. Specs. I think we looked at the specs, didn't we? And I couldn't see USB audio interface anywhere. And I couldn't actually even see if it does MIDI over USB either, which the Mark 1 does do, as well as being an audio interface. I wouldn't be surprised if it is an audio interface, if it is like some sort of submix, just a stereo in and a stereo out on USB, as opposed to a multi-channel audio interface. But that certainly would be a very interesting thing if it was a multi-channel audio interface. But yeah, it doesn't appear to have audio interface functionality. Standard features, it would be there. It says USB for data. I've mentioned this before. But no mention of MIDI over USB. Maybe that's a given. Oh no, it would perhaps say that as well in there. Anyway, enough of this. I don't know when it's coming. At some point soon. I don't know if they're having lots of problems with sourcing all of the good stuff, all of the components. So be interested to know. Wagyu is saying it's weird though, isn't it? Roland stuff has always had audio over USB lately. Yeah. Now, I think what that is part. Roland make their own chips. And they make their chips and they put them into things like all the products kind of gain certain chipsets, you know. And there's been one that's been in so many products. This 505, I'm thinking of the ones that I've got. My Roland GR55 operates as an audio interface. My little Boss GR1, I think, little one. That's got that audio interface. All of these audio interfaces have needed a specific Roland driver, which has always been a bit of a shame because those products would be great to use them with iPads and iPhones and stuff. Rainy night in Bristol. Yes, it is. You can hear the rain, can you? Yeah, it is. It's absolutely bucketing down. Yep, still is. So that's an interesting point. My new looper, right, that's there, the RC-500 doesn't, I think. I don't think that can function as an audio interface. So possibly they might have dropped audio interface support. Certainly appears not to be there. Right, let's do a jam. I just want to make sure that this is all working before I get the jam on the go. There's like, I'm getting like a weird latency and I don't know why that is. So I'm just going to try and figure out what's going on. I'm going to wipe this. I'm going to start from fresh. So yeah, so here we go. This is what happened. Oh, press and hold it. There was that thing, you see, I should have pulled all the faders down because in order to get it to wipe, you have to start it and hold your finger on it, but it will start. It'll start playing. Right, okay. Fresh, blank, empty slate. So why, I got to just figure out why this, is it to do with the MIDI? I'm just going to pull the MIDI out for a moment. No, it's not. I wonder what's going on with this. If anyone knows why this isn't doing what it should be doing, I wonder why. I haven't got hold on. I'm getting stuck notes as well. Let's just turn it off, turn it back on. Might have given it a little bit of MIDI chaos somehow. Let's just plug this back in. MIDI in. All I want it to receive, let me just go into its settings. All I want it to receive from the input channel, input 5, that's fine. Sync, source, auto. Let's set that to be in MIDI. Okay, so it's going to get its clock. It's going to get its clock from here. Let's just... Hey, it's working now. Look at that. It's turning it off, turning it back on again. Okay. Right. The lovely little Micro Freak. I really have not spent enough time with it. It's so good, but I've got so many other things distracting me that this is something that I've been meaning to spend more time with. I've decided I'm going on tour for a whole month and I'm going to be away for a month. This is going to come with me, I've decided. This and the Polyend Tracker are going to be my my little tour companions, I've decided, and an iPad. I should mention the amazing piece of software that's going to be coming out for the iPad, Loopy Pro. So talking about all this loop station, Loopy Pro is almost like the kind of be all and end all of looping. It looks amazing. I don't know when it's going to be out. I think it's out, public beta might be out at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to be taking that on tour with me for sure. Okay, things are set up, I think, now. This still doesn't seem to be responding properly. It might just be me. I'm going to I'm going to just set it up to ARP. Let's just see. Yes, we're in time here. Still in that 5.4. Oh, so when I wiped it, it didn't initialize it. It just it took it back to Now, this is a cool thing. So I've made my little loop, but when it went over, I didn't stop it in time. So when this gets to the end of its loop, we're going to hear it overlaid a little bit here, and then I stopped it. But here's a cool thing. In the undo, we can see that's flashing. So now I've undone. Once it had completed a loop and gone into that overdub, that treats that as a kind of an undoable state. So now when it gets to the end of the loop, it won't... Oh, it did. Oh, I messed it up. Oh well, don't matter. Okay. Just gonna get... I'm doing this for a purpose at the moment. I'll build something up. Some verb on. That little click there when you're changing things, I hope they've sorted that out. What you find at the end of the time, you'll find if you spin through the time from milliseconds, once you get to 1,000, it'll then go to synchronized. So I'll do some of that now. So I'm just going to do some vocal stuff with this now. So I have to remember that if I talk over recording, then it's my mic is going through here, so it'll record everything. Just I'm gonna set this now to this to be in free. I'm gonna do some of the crazy noise like this. It's a bit too crazy, that is. Turn it up. the spell. Trying to change the patch when you got kind of the sync on. Oh, thank you, Synthetic. Well, I hope that this is whatever it is, but it's this fun machine, you know. It's just a joyful machine. So, that was the point of tonight, really, was to kind of discuss the upcoming Mark II with, you know, relating it to this Mark I. It will be interesting to see what it, you know, how it turns out. I didn't mention the RC-600, which is the floor-based looper. I'm very interested in that as well. So maybe we can look at the RC-500 or something in the near one and maybe have a similar speculation. Hey, thank you everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me on this kind of bit of a ramble. And yeah, I'll just take these out now. Max out the verb. All right. Peace and love, everyone. Big love to everybody. It's a oh yes, I think is it. I should have the details with me. But there is a memorial to the late great Chris Huggett happening in Oxford this weekend. Let's see if I can find the information. Open for all to attend. So if Chris Huggett and his incredible contribution to the synth world is important to you, and you are near Oxford, then maybe look into that. Let me see when. Let me see. I think I've got the information somewhere. I should have really had this. Right. Okay. So just worth mentioning, really. All are welcome to attend. Yeah. So it's on the 24th of October, 2 p.m. in the music block of Headington School in Oxford. So if anyone wants to attend that, you know, the great Chris Huggett, one of the giants of British synthesizers, really. We sadly lost him. And his incredible legacy. So anyway, on that note, let's just yeah, Chris Huggett. Wow. So Chris Huggett, I think he was responsible for the Wasp and then through to the Oscar and gosh, well, he's been involved in so many things, but the Summit and the Peak from Novation, I guess, was his last products. I think I might be wrong about that. He sadly passed, and he is yeah, one of the greats for sure. But yes, big love again, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you all soon. Thanks a lot.